Welcome to the intersection of technology, cybersecurity, and society. Welcome to ITSP Magazine. You're listening to a new The Changemaking podcast with Chloé Messdaghi. Each episode will introduce an area of technology that needs work and highlight the changemakers working on it. Join Chloé and guests as they tap into their passion about equity and rights for all. Knowledge is power, now more than ever.
To another episode of the Changemaking podcast on ITSP Magazine. My name is Chloé Messdaghi, your host, and today I have a wonderful guest named Angela Marafino, who is the co-founder of the Hacker Book Club. Angela, welcome.
Hi, Chloé. Thanks for having me.
Well, it's lovely to have you, as always, on everything. Let's dive first into what is the Hacker Book Club?
Yeah, so it's a group of individuals who we meet virtually to read books written by hackers in the community or about hackers. And a lot of them are focused for hackers. Hence, I think why the name was created, correct me if I'm wrong, as you were the original founder. But we also have transitioned into some sci-fi, and some of our books are very technical to not so technical. So some of them have hands-on labs that you can work through as well. And we discuss all of it.
And how does the community work with each other? Do you guys have a Discord, a Slack?
We do have a Discord. We started on Goodreads. And so there's a lot of, and I'll share this resource with you, but a lot of our past books are there, where you can see kind of the catalog of what we've read, what we're going to read, and what we may or may not read, just interests. And then we transition to Discord to continue the meetings where people don't necessarily feel obligated to show video after a long day. We typically meet in the evenings. So it's just really laid back, and, all the communications are there on Discord. And then we just joined a voice channel.
Do you ever have members that come and join, but they haven't read the part of the book they were supposed to?
Absolutely. And I encourage that. I encourage that so much. There's so many times where people will reach out to me and say, I'm sorry, I haven't read this week or this month, or I didn't read as much as I wanted to. We don't put any guidelines. We don't say okay, we're going to read chapters 1 through 3 now. We have in the past, but we're not going to do that anymore. So we don't do 1 through 3 this time, and then 3 through whatever the next time, 4 through, something. And then it's very laid back and fluid. So if you haven't read, please join. I encourage everyone to come anyway. My hope is that, and I'm not quizzing anybody or anything, right? So my hope is that you will hear something that sparks your interest, and you'll want to read the book in the future if you haven't already, or you can come get an idea of what the book's about and know that it's not for you. So either way, right, you'll probably learn something new, and you can decide, right, whether, wow, I really need to dig into that book when I get the chance, or, okay, not for me.
Was there any books that in particular that the community really enjoyed reading?
Oh my gosh. I'm pretty sure they enjoy all of them, Chloé, because I hand pick the list. All right. But I know we did the entire Tribe of Hackers series, and that was a blast. And we got great feedback on that, because not only, and we tried to incorporate having the authors, from each one of our books when we can, when it's not someone too famous, to acknowledge, right, that our little group wants to have them come speak. But we try to have the authors on one meeting per book. So that's great, because we got to have Marcus, Carey, and Jennifer Jin join. But for those, if you haven't read the Tribe of Hackers books, there's contributors throughout the entire book who answer important questions based on which book it is. So red team or blue team, right? Offensive or defensive security. Professionals in the industry answered the questions that Marcus and Jennifer submitted for them. And you can, get a different answer for every question and kind of flip through that way. But we got to have the contributors on as well. So it was very, very interesting and engaging for our readers. So I think that was a hit. And then we also did Cult of the Dead Cow by Joseph Menn, which is just a blast. And those people are just phenomenal. We had some really great conversations. I want to point out that we don't record our meetings so that anyone can, voice their opinion openly and feel comfortable doing so. So we don't have record of it, but that was a blast.
I definitely remember the cult of the dead cow.
Yeah.
That was great. Talk about like one of those things where you wish you could record it and like rewatch it, because it was just a lot of fun.
So much fun.
It was a lot of fun. And the Tribe of Hackers one, just getting all those different people in the room. Well, and by room, I mean in the virtual space, and just talking about a little bit more, exploring a little bit of what they wrote and why they're in the space. Would you say that some of the community members have learned a lot more beyond the pages of the book when they have the writer attend?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I love having the writer attend, because not only do you get to ask questions, like if you've read enough up to the point where you can ask questions, sometimes, right, we just start the book and there's not really questions to ask yet about the story or whatever, the content. We at least get insight on, what was that process like? Because we have members, and I know for myself, right, I'm interested in like, just in general, like what is the process of writing some type of security or tech content, tech type book? What does that look like? So for everyone, it's different. And everyone, has their own ways of doing it, and things that struggles that they have along the way, and like time that it takes, and all of those questions. So that is something you can ask every single person and see what they say and get a different answer, which is so cool to see. And also, right, where they got their inspiration, which isn't necessarily always in the book. That could be left out. Maybe it's in an introduction, but you never know. So getting to see that. And then side stories from, you may ask a question on, I really like this quote, and they'll just tell you, oh, well, that came from this story. And then you get to hear all these background stories about, they were in another country and met a person, and it could just be anything. So it's just so much more in depth and really cool. Not to mention like built-in resources that you can also get, because a lot of the times they'll reference other things, and we can jot down like websites or other books to refer to while reading this book, and then you just go down a rabbit hole of like content, which is really awesome. And we all love to do that.
Definitely on that front. I think that's the hacker community and culture. It's just going down that rabbit hole and see how far can this go.
Yeah.
Would you say that for most of the people that have been attending the book club, for them, this is kind of like a passion thing that they have on the side? Or do you think it's kind of more of like, I want to be better at my job?
Both. And I think it helps that we try to post the list of books we're going to read for the year, because everyone's busy, and I don't expect anyone to show up to every meeting, or every month for that matter. I have people that do, and they're really awesome, and I love them for that. But other than me, I don't expect anyone to be there every time, just because life and work and responsibilities. So they're able to kind of pick, right? Like, okay, this month it's a sci-fi book. I don't necessarily have to, like, there may not be something I can take away from this book for my job, but maybe the next one is focused on managing risk or something like that. And that will directly relate. And so they can kind of choose, right? And plan ahead. I'll have people say, I'm busy this month with a project, and I'll see you next month. And I'm like, that's great. Perfect. See you then. So absolutely. And, also having the author there, right, and asking insight into like maybe some type of what would you call it? I don't know. Like we recently read a book that had a chapter by Sunil Yu, and he was able to answer questions on a defense matrix that he's created and how that aligns with specific roles in a company and specific like industries, and how that can change based on what kind of customer you have or who you're working with. So, that question isn't necessarily answered in that one chapter. And I think the person specifically who asked those questions was able to say, okay, now I know, like, I can or can't use this for this purpose, which is really awesome.
When you look back at basically throughout the Hacker Book Club, was there a particular moment that stood out for you and it drives you still to this day to continue the book club and to keep it growing?
I want to say there were two. Well, two together. And one is having two of those Tribe of Hackers books back to back. And I think we talked about this recently, is like the difference between the offensive security red teaming folks that joined and the difference between the conversation in that one and the blue team defensive folks that joined, and just like seeing how different those conversations were, but realizing that they're all equally important and that we should be having these conversations. I think that was super impactful, and just seeing like, okay, how can we keep these conversations going, but get all sides, seen. And so it's really cool to bring in people from specific roles, but have the readers be the same, right? So like readers get to ask the same questions and see like what's going on. Is that like more of an influence on, is that a role I would want, or what kind of thought process do I need to like succeed in X, Y, or Z role? And just knowing like what the members can gain from those kinds of conversations. The other was we did a conversation around a book called Raven by Sue Lowe, which is geared towards young adults and was written in hopes of getting more interest in cybersecurity by the younger crowd who may not, right, like know what they're going to go to school for, college for, or what their career path might be with or without college. And so we brought on some teens to come join those meetings specifically, and they got to ask the authors questions and talk about follow-up books that may be written, and just like really, learn more about what is it like to have a role like that. And that was super impactful to know that, right, this isn't just a conversation for cybersecurity and technology professionals. It's for everyone. These books are for anyone who's interested in it. It doesn't matter what age, race, gender you are. It's reading, and reading is fun, and reading is important, and just continuing to broaden everyone's horizons.
So when it comes to the authors that attend the club, how often do they attend? Do they attend like weekly, or is it like once a whole month?
Yeah, so we've been meeting twice a month. Originally, we would have the author on the first meeting of the series. So once a month, we would have the author, and then the next meeting, we would talk more about the meat of the book itself. It can fluctuate based on whether or not there are multiple authors. So if there are multiple authors, we may have different people at each meeting. And that's great, because then you get to speak to someone new, and each time we'll have a guest. And then like for the case of the Tribe of Hackers books, right, like there were contributors that weren't necessarily authored, and they got to come on. Same with Cult of the Dead Cow, right? The members of the Cult of the Dead Cow came, as well as the author. And Joe kind of brought them along, so I was super grateful for that. But a new announcement is that we're starting a podcast for the Hacker Book Club. So the goal is to dedicate both meetings per month to the book, and then once we complete the book, to have the author on the podcast, and bring on members who are super passionate about that specific book, or really have more burning questions on what they read, and to bring them on to the podcast. And so kind of separating it out, but making it hopefully more effective as far as the order in which we schedule the author and let everyone read ahead of time.
So it seems like it's growing significantly in a sense. You have a Discord, you have a podcast, you're on Goodreads. Is there going to be a website eventually?
Oh my gosh, I don't know. You want to help me with it?
I am more than happy to help you on it.
I thought about it, because every time I share the information, I'm like, okay, here's our Goodreads that we used, and now here's our Discord, and here's some books. But yeah, there's definitely a need for it.
Yeah, happy to help anytime on that. Any way to help. I mean, like, I think originally the whole Hacker Book Club, the idea was just the fact that there's so many of us in the community that like to read books.
Mm-hmm.
And like finding a club where, people in the community get connected with the authors and gain a different perspective of what's within the pages. That's inspiring for people, and also for them to learn a little bit more about what's behind the scenes and ask the questions. Because I mean, think about it, Angela, you and I, whenever we read some book, we have questions like, oh man, the author didn't talk about this, but now I'm curious, why didn't the author talk about this subject?
Yeah. Or why do they have this specific view on this thing? I think one of the things is not only are you reading the book and you're like, okay, I've got these takeaways from this book, but it's also kind of networking, because these are industry professionals for the most. Like, I don't think any of them have just been like an author that is an author in life. Like, these are industry professionals. And so you're also making that connection. And most of the time they're like, reach out to me if you have any additional questions, or connect with me on LinkedIn or whatever social media platform. And you've made, a contact, which you may remember that, or any follow-up communications you may have with them. Maybe they go on to be one of your mentors, or you just remember it even longer. And so like it can have a bigger impact.
Yeah, exactly. And hopefully it also inspires folks that are attending these meetings to even consider themselves writing a book or contributing to books. I mean, that's the one thing I love about the hacker community, is that the more you participate in it, more doors tend to open, and opportunities such as like writing a chapter.
Yeah, for people who are interested in writing a book, right, and may or may not know that they're interested in it and get interested in it after talking to some of these authors. The last, again, like I mentioned before, right, resources are shared during these communications, and we have a side chat and we're like, oh, put the link in there during the call, right? So there's a lot of resource sharing. We had this month's book was Modern Cybersecurity: Tales from the Near Distant Future, which had a lot of contributors, those being Sunil Yu, Caroline Wong, many others. But Mark Miller is the person who put it all together and facilitated that. And so he came on the first call, and, towards the end, right, he was like, look, I look forward to hearing stories of you alls in the future, and here's some resources if you want to do that. So apparently you could go on to like, I think it's under, what is it? It's like Audible. It's under Audible, but it's not audiobooks or something similar. Maybe just don't quote me on that part, but there's a place you can go to get a book made for free. Like Amazon will publish the book for you. So you don't even need to like convince someone that your idea is good. You just need to know the places to go to get the things done. I think, they end up like keeping a portion of the proceeds of the sales if you end up selling any books. But like, I'm assuming that most of us aren't doing this for money and want to share knowledge. And so like, there's just tons of resources. And once you know the right ones, you can effectively go out and do the thing.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about royalties either, which is great. I mean, self-publishing gives you basically you could do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
And not worry, just don't, plagiarize. But I mean, that's pretty much it, which helps in some ways for those that, are feeling a little insecure about going to a publisher or even approaching a publisher. It's a lot of work.
100%. Yep. But it's just like anything else, right? Is sharing that knowledge and maybe it's got some opinions in it, voicing your opinion on maybe things that people haven't traditionally been brave enough to do. It can start a whirlwind, and you can get tons of support, and also you can share that, right? So if you say, if someone's like, hey, what have you been working on? You say, well, I did this whole thing. And that's just like anything else, right? Like, here's my GitHub, here's my whatever, my website I created, or whatever it may be. It's just another piece of the puzzle of showing that you're passionate about something.
So I know that not only do you do books and now podcasts, But also there's a watch party. Do you want to share a little bit about that?
I love doing the watch parties. So typically, and I like to call them side quests sometimes because why not? Typically, like this month of March 2022, there's many Tuesdays. We usually meet on Tuesday. There's many Tuesdays this month, like 4 of them. So I try to stick to the 2 meetings a month. I don't want people to get burnt out. And I know we're all already on calls most of the time anyway for work. So I try to do like a Friday watch party. If, for example, there's something we've been reading that has a theme or it's been made into a movie, in the off time, I'll say, hey, let's have a watch party on this Friday or Saturday, whatever works best for most members. And we'll just do that. And then we'll chat about it. And sometimes everyone watches at the same time. Sometimes, you can watch it in your own time and then we can come back and just like talk in the chat or spin up a quick meeting out of nowhere, ad hoc meeting. And it's just a lot of fun. Last year we did it for June and July. We just had like a summer break. And so we didn't read anything and we just watched like sneakers and hackers and whatever else. And so, I typically let people vote and see what the consensus is, but it's a lot of fun. I mean, there's always something out there that we can kind of, relate to what we're reading. But since we've gotten into like sci-fi, like this year, we're going to read Ready Player One in a couple months. And so that's obviously already a movie. So, I'll definitely be having that come up at that time. So it's so much fun.
So what other books are you going to be reading for the rest of this year for those that may want to join at some point soon?
Sure. Let me just pull up the list. So I know our next book is Crypto by Daniel Levy. And then I do believe we go into the Ready Player Ones. Sorry, I'm just trying to pull up the list. Okay, so we started the year off with Kingpin by Kevin Poulsen. Then we did Modern Cybersecurity, Tales from the Near Distant Future. Crypto, How the Code Rebels Beat the Government by Stephen Levy. Then May and June are Ready Player One and Ready Player Two by Ernest Cline. So that'll be cool. I kind of love getting, like in the Tribe of Hackers situation, you just really get in the mindset of like, I'm digging into this for like a little bit. And that's fun. The Cuckoo's Egg by Cliff Stoll is July. A lot of people have read that already. And a lot of people are interested in reading it who haven't. It's been on my list, so super looking forward to that. August is the Cybersecurity Career Guide by Alyssa Miller, which is brand new. I'm super looking forward to that conversation. Love chatting with her. I know it's going to be invaluable, and I wish that had existed 3 years ago when I was trying to get into cybersecurity, but it's neither here nor there. September and October, The Circle and The Every by Dave Eggers, which I know The Circle is already a movie too, so we can definitely have like a side watch party for that. And then November and December, so we're doing something different there. We're reading Reamd by Neil Stevenson, and that's huge. It's a huge book. Like, I don't even know if November and December is enough time to read the whole thing, so maybe that will drag over into January. But Neil Stevenson is awesome, and we read some of his work last year too, and it was well received. So should end the year on a fun note there.
Well, definitely count me in for the Circle watch party.
Yes,
I'm a big fan of Emma Watson.
Yes, me too. I love her.
Who doesn't?
If I could incorporate like just every Emma Watson thing, I would do that. But I don't think Beauty and the Beast is like on this list. So
no. Well, then I guess you have to start another book club.
Yeah.
That's Emma Watson related, which has viewing of movies. So Angela, how can people join if they want to join?
Yeah, so we have Discord is the main place to be as far as chats, meeting updates, whatnot. I'm assuming you have links to this conversation, so we'll link it there. But we also have a Twitter account. So our Twitter is at Hacker Book Club _. It was different, but I got locked out of the old one. So it is Hacker Book Club _ and it says THPC official. So that's the one I post about when meetings are coming up, and try to tag the authors and get some conversation going there too. So really, those are the places to be. If you are interested, we can also share a link to the Goodreads so you can see kind of like what was read in the past. But like Chloe mentioned, looks like we're going to have a website in the future. So stay tuned for what that will be.
Yeah, because, it now needs a website at this
I know.
point. It has to have one. We can't be relying on Goodreads anymore.
I know. No, we don't. Still there.
So what's the process of picking the books and movies for you?
So there's a couple things. There's a couple things, right? So one, I think the first thing I do is try to pay attention to people in our industry who have announced that they're writing a book or that a book they've written is about to be released. Because that's, I want to talk to them. If I've already, if they're already in my network, I'm like, yes, let's do it. I want to support them, and I want to make sure that everybody, gets to ask them questions and share the excitement of the book coming out. Next is, are there books on my backlist that like I've been wanting to read that I already have that we can add to the list? So that's another one, because I have a problem buying books. Like I will just continue to buy books. I bought already 10 books this year that could be on the list, but we already have a list for this year. So next year, it's great. So some of it's personal preference. Others is I like to pull the members too and see we have a shared list of does anybody want to recommend any book recommendations? So people will throw stuff in there all the time, and I try to keep an eye on it to know, okay, in the future we can do this one. So people throw them in there, and then I'll just ask hey, these are 5 ideas I have. Which ones do you like or like more than others, or none of them, right? And so I try to let everybody have a say in what they want to read.
Well, I like that approach. That's a good approach. It's a roundtable approach in a sense.
Yeah.
What is a couple of things that you hope for the near future for the Hacker Book Club, and how can people help you get there?
I think sharing. It's funny because there are people that I know about the book club, but I don't think they've ever joined a meeting, but it's still cool that they know that it exists, because then if they meet someone who loves books but doesn't know about doesn't know about our group, they can just tell them. I've had people say, I know this is weird, but and we it'll be an introductory call. I know this is weird, but don't you run a book club? I'm like, yeah, that's me. But I know they've never, they might follow us, but they've never been, or we hadn't really talked, and it's just really cute and I love it. Because people do know about it. I want people to attend, and I think a lot of the hesitation, like we mentioned earlier, is committing to having read the book, or having access to buy these books. Don't ever feel like you have to. This is, I know there are services out there that'll give you 15-minute overview of a book. You could come for 1 hour twice a month and get a better overview than that, and you don't have to read either. So I totally support people just coming in and lurking. And people are like, I don't want to lurk. I'm like, why? Come lurk. I don't ever call people out if I know that they don't speak up frequently, or they don't come every meeting. People I know, I will say, hey, what do you think? But definitely feel free to stay silent, lurk in the background, learn something. If you like it, cool, come back. If you don't, that's okay. But yeah, just sharing it. I usually tweet about when the meetings are. So retweeting that, takes 1 second, and you don't even have to really say much about it. But yeah. And then when we start interviewing authors on the podcast, I think that's going to help a lot. It'll be more structured in the way that the author gets to talk. And I think that'll help grow the group. I mean, we have over 600 followers, but the meetings are typically rather small, which is kind of nice because it's kind of personal, and I don't know, we just keep it laid back. It doesn't get too crowded. There aren't people speaking over people. Everybody's very courteous, and it's just fun. It's just laid back and fun. This is the one thing that you know me, and also similar to you, we take on a lot of things, and a lot of times there's going to be things we have to say, I can't. I have to say no to. We've already got too many commitments, but this is the one thing that I know you've heard me say I will not give up because I love it too much is the book club. And so everybody knows, and people will say like, what are you doing Tuesday? And I'm like, don't talk to me. I got plans. I have a book club. So yeah, it's important to me.
Yeah. It's great timing also because with the pandemic, it was a way to connect with people around the world in a way that we're all stuck at home, but you know what? Let's escape together into a book.
100%.
And that really helps a lot. I think when it was first starting, I was like so excited for the Hacker Book Club because I was like, oh, finally I get to read a book and I have, it's a requirement. So I get to finally actually read something for once.
Yes.
Yeah.
I will admit, like I've always loved books, but I definitely hadn't been reading anything that like I wasn't required to read for a while until the pandemic. And I really enjoyed the break from screens. And I know we can all familiarize with that, or relate to that. But, it's like sometimes I'll have the audiobook because I know that there's other things that I need to do, or I'll be driving a lot that month or whatever. And I'll pair it up and like do both. But as much as I can, I try to get the hard copy and take that time for like my eyes and my sanity to look at something other than a digital display.
Yeah, I would always do either, I would do it on on a tablet. Or if it's not on a tablet, I would go to a library. And if they don't have the book, then I'll find like a used copy or a new copy, depending. But if I get a new copy, I always want to get the signature of the writer. So some of the people that have attended the book club have sent me signed copies, which is excellent because I have like a signed shelf.
That's awesome.
On my bookcase. But it's nice to see it grow and like seeing all these other bookworms that exist. Yeah, I call myself a bookworm. I take pride.
That's
with that.
The phrase. Yeah, that's the phrase.
It's a pride.
It's a good thing.
Yeah, it's nice to just get away from movies and just open a book. I mean, something about that. It's very peaceful, very zen, and it transports you to another place. Have you ever done Blinkist?
No. And I don't know how I feel about it. Have you?
Yes.
What do you think?
Okay. So I wanted to test it out too, because as an avid book lover, I have to make sure that it is close to the actual book. So I did, my first book on Blinkist was a book I've already read. And then I was actually pleasantly surprised.
Okay.
How good it was. Okay. It was like, it took away all the main thoughts. Of course, it doesn't get into the gritty details that you find between the text, or like the little hidden things. You don't really get that, but it's kind of like Spark Notes in a sense for books.
Right.
So,
it's not free, is it?
I don't think so. I think like there's like a trial that's like free, but then and then you pay for like an annual subscription. And that has become my favorite app because like you shared earlier, like I think you and I were similar in the sense that we take on a lot of projects and we like to complete them.
Yes. And
then there's some projects that it's just endless where it doesn't end. And you're like, I need to find more time to learn new things. And so I find Blinkist to be helpful because I get to quickly get through books where I don't usually have time. So instead of me being able to read one book a week, now it's like I can have several books within a week on a certain topic. So it helps me, in a sense, like learn new things in a faster pace. Of course, I still recommend reading the books.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and like you, I try to like get used books or the library. Like I forget because I got a library card where I live now right before the pandemic started. And I was like, yes, I'm going to go to the library. And then the library is closed. And then, so I didn't use them. And then I forgot about them. And it's like, man, I'm buying a lot of books. And I was like, oh, right. Because I forgot that the library exists, which I think happens sometimes. So, but they do surprisingly have a lot of technology and cybersecurity books. Even if you think that they might not have them, I would definitely check there first.
Yeah, I was surprised how many cybersecurity books there are at the library. You just have to search. Of course, like you and I, we live in two big cities. So, I mean, like we have kind of more of a selection.
Right.
I can imagine. But it's,
Yeah.
Yeah. I think there's also an app where, is it called Overdrive?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Where you can basically rent books out. Well, it's like borrowing like a library, but from different libraries around the area to find the book that you want to read on your tablet.
Yeah, and for like the audiobooks, I have Audible, which obviously I pay for, but I get a specific amount of credits per month. But it's usually like one is enough for one book that I want to read. And then I think you can trade in old ones to get a credit back. So, if I don't want to keep it, then I read it and then just return it and then you get your credit back. And it's very cool.
That's great. Well, Angela, thank you so much for chatting with me about the Hacker Book Club. And for everyone who is interested, the links will be below this episode. And if you have any questions at all, feel free to reach out to her. She does answer her DMs. And yeah, thank you, Angela, so much for taking on this book club and seeing it grow and really continue to deliver and build out a community of, supporting for book lovers and in InfoSec and those that are interested in it. It looks and it's just amazing overall.
Thank you, Chloe. And as the person who founded it, I'm so grateful for you to entrust me with your book club. So happy to take it on. I feel passionately about it, and I'm super excited to see how it grows with the future ITSP Magazine podcast. So thank you for having me and for talking about it.
Yeah, anytime.
All right.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Changemaking podcast with Chloé Messdaghi. If you learned something new and this podcast made you think, then share itspmagazine.com with your friends, family, and colleagues. If you represent a company and wish to associate your brand with our conversations, sponsor one or more of our podcast channels. We hope you will come back for more stories and follow us on our journey. You can always find us at the intersection of technology, cybersecurity, and society.